Hi, my name is WinSlaya, and welcome to Multiplayer Masterminds, a series where I discuss a game that I host MPs for with a few of the players that I play with. This time, we'll be looking at the new 3.3 Libra update for Stellaris, and I'm joined by three of my good friends here, Ebend, Levantine X, and Beju. You guys want to say hi really quickly?
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I am really happy to have you three here because you guys have been some of the people that I've been playing multiplayers with for I think the longest. I'm pretty sure I met both Lev and Beju in one of my first multiplayer experiences over in Horath Drax community, and Eben's
Mhm.
somebody who's been playing with me for like maybe 4 or 5 years at this point. It's hard to keep track of once it gets to
Yeah.
that long. And these guys know a lot. They talk to a lot of the people who play very competitively in the multiplayer tournament scene. Um, and I think as a result, they're going to have some good thoughts and tips to share with you all. So this video is split into 4 parts. The intro here, then we're going to go over what WinSlaya likes about the update, and then we'll go over my guest thoughts and feelings on it. And after that, we'll just wrap up with a few fun facts. You can find the timestamps down in the description below. And if any of you are interested in joining future MPs, I host every week at 9 a.m. my time, which is Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, if you want to join, the link is in the Discord below. And without further ado, we can jump into what I love about this update. So personally for me, I love so much about this. It feels like the update I've been waiting years for. Spiritualists finally got a boost to make them a little bit more competitive with machines. Obviously, if we take a look around this map, you'll see that I didn't do as well as the people who chose machine empires, but I do feel like the changes are moving the game in the right direction. And I also like the other things, like how the AI is more competent. It seems like they've been putting a lot of time and effort into making AI protectors even better at protecting you and in fighting their own wars. You guys got in some early wars, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, we had some
Unfortunately.
early wars. Yes.
Did
Yes,
all
the adventures of making spiritualists more competitive, having the evangelizing zealot next to you again.
Yeah, your sovereignty of Hazra, you decided to be a materialist and then you spawned in right next to this spiritual Lev, right?
Yeah, and there's not really much I can do about them at this point. I didn't really invest into early alloy economy, and I don't have any AI I can use to actually help me because the only other AI is a fallen empire next to me.
Yeah, that's a rough start. And I'm pretty sure Beiju was in a pretty similar situation, right?
No, I actually had a pretty strong space around me. I just have several planets. I've just counting. I'm having 12 planets currently. I'm 2 friendly neighbors. And a fallen empire which is very far away, but I had the horses, which are a tribute to one of the best players of Stellaris, right next to me, which are fanatic militarist and xenophobe, or very similar, and they attacked me quite early. And since 3.3, the AI is way stronger, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I am not used to that they are so strong so early, and yeah, didn't use my envoys so smart.
Yeah,
They attacked me, and yeah, I had some issues.
that's
I'm still having issues with them. Yeah.
you're referring to Silas, who just won a tournament playing, I think, a spiritualist, militarist, xenophobe, probably pretty similar to what we see here. He's been playing around with this build for a long time. He tends to be a pretty aggressive player, so it is nice to hear that Spiritualist was able to win a competitive in a competitive setting, and Silas was able to make that work. But even yeah, you also you went to war, right?
I got the war declared on me twice. I am dealing with the second instance currently. So far, the first war I lost just a planet, but it's a planet of roughly 20.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
even though it's the works garden.
I
I
think
don't super care for it.
you can afford to have a little bit of a setback because you are killing it in the score. I don't know why your score is so high, but you are our #1 player
I don't
here.
either. I
It's the
have
relic. That's it.
it. Oh yes, I do have the Voltanian's miniature galaxy, or no, it's the alternative reality one. My
Okay.
bad.
So I may be able to catch up with you if I just like look at what you have here. You have 400 tech income, 2,000 economic strength, and if I go back to me, what do I have? Do I have more tech income? Hopefully I do. I'm like way at the
Probably.
bottom here, but yeah, I have like almost double your tech income. My economy is not too weak. I have a feeling that
So
as this game progresses, I'll go further up on that
yeah,
leaderboard.
some of those tomb worlds got some nice tech modifiers. I got Ruin Particle Accelerator. I got some other +20 physics research. I got a Titanic Life one, if I can hold on to it, that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just a question of how many setbacks is this Shadow Cult's or Guild's gonna give me.
Right.
I really don't want to lose this second war because that has a lot more important stuff.
It is nice to see the AI fighting a lot more effectively and giving you guys some challenges because, usually you can just kind of like forget about them. They're not that big of a deal and then conquer them and get some free pops later on in the game. So Lev, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about technocracy. I believe you or somebody said technocracy is not as good as it used to be. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah. The thing is, technocracy used to give you tons of Unity generation without ever having to invest in it, because you were investing into tech heavily. So yeah, you had your Unity covered.
Yeah.
Now the other part of it was that you got some free early on tech, but it wasn't too big because by the time your colonies were upgrading to 10 pops and you actually got those governors, you usually had a lot of tech anyways. So it was a nice boost, but it wasn't the big. The big part was the Unity from researchers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now the Unity from researchers got removed, and they did add in +1 research alternative, with it's quite nice. But if you're focusing on research, you're getting a lot of them anyways.
Yeah, I hate
There's
how
one in
much.
the early techs, there's one in the Unity tree, in the tradition. So that one isn't too strong, and the governors are hurting a little bit more because they are giving less Unity than the normal ones, and with Unity being removed from the other part, that actually hurts now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to hate how often I'd see meritocracy, technocracy, full materialist in competitive settings. It made it almost impossible to keep up with people who were just like, I'm going to do tech and only tech. Of course, with this build, went the opposite direction. Said, I'm going to do Unity and pretty much only Unity and maybe some tech and maybe some alloys. And it worked out okay. I'm actually making some pretty good research. I may end up being one of the more technologically advanced societies out of the player empires. I mean, you compare it to AIs, they're going to be getting some massive bonuses at this point, and eventually I'll be able to overtake them. I noticed that it's going to be a lot harder to cycle leaders if you don't like the leader modifiers you get, because now they cost Unity, and they have a Unity upkeep unless you take, I think, Feudal Society, which is another one of the civics that I felt was underrepresented and almost had no reason to pick. And now it's like, it's probably got a pretty niche way of playing. I think you get like Unity based on your governor's skill level, so it might make sense to just kind of build a couple like one system sectors with a planet and put a governor on it to get a little bit of extra unity. I haven't tested that, but it seems like a viable thing to try and do.
It's probably likely you could do some reinvestment with Unity. The thing about feudal society is it doesn't really give you too much. So it used to be just a pure role-playing option because you weren't having issues with trust in multiplayer anyways, so that part fell off for societies. The only thing it gave you was if you wanted to do some fun stuff with a friend and have him as your vessel for some reason, then he could actually do stuff.
mm-hmm. I think I think it's really cool that the unity upkeep of your leaders is non-existent with the feudal society, because that upkeep can really hurt at the beginning of the game when you have like, you know, what is it, 50? I was making like 50 unity a month at the very beginning, but some of you guys I think were making like 20 or 30, and then having 2 upkeep for each leader, right? It really knocks it down. It makes it hard for you to spam science ships like people used to.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking I just built an army if I need a general. Do I spend the unity for the general and the upkeep? This is actually a decision right now, since generals do not have such a big impact still. But I decided to go for for general. But in early game, if you have early wars, maybe it's not so useful to have one.
I mean, we literally debated this when WinSlaya was invading their atomic
Yeah.
Civilization, yeah. I didn't need to. I just decided to get another army and then deal with it that way. Yeah, that was a pretty cool start, having a Void Dweller spawn 2 jumps away from an atomic civilization with 26 pops. There was almost more of them than there was of me, which is pretty funny. I've never seen that happen before, but I don't know. In a weird way, my society is in a rough spot sandwiched between 2 people. It's okay. I'll manage.
Well, I wasn't that much listening this game because I had so much to do.
I know, it's like learning an entirely new game with all of these massive changes.
Yeah, and it's faster. The game is faster. We played mostly on normal speed, and we have year 50 right now, year 51 even.
We had barely any stuttering whatsoever.
Yeah.
Especially we didn't have the usual lag spikes at the beginning of the year, it feels like.
Yeah. We played on normal for about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 or so. So that's pretty impressive, the amount of time that we were able to get through. I'm really happy with those types of changes, and I think it'll make the late game work even better. They've been thinking about economy, they've been thinking about AI, and then just optimizing the way those decisions are made. So I'm optimistic, and I'm enjoying what I've seen so far. The next thing I love is ascending planets. I think it's really fun. Of course, you can't do it unless you have a load of unity. I think the first one cost me like 1,000 unity, but that depends on a lot of different factors. Every time you ascend a planet, I think the next ascension costs more. But essentially, it'll make it so that your Empire Sprawl goes down. That's like the equivalent of admin cap. It's slightly different now. If you're under 100, it's not a big deal. If you're over 100, you reduce your it reduces your technology progress, and it increases the stuff you need to take more traditions in your tradition trees, which is fine if you're just spamming unity like I am. I have a crazy amount. I'm making like 380 a month, and these other guys are making quite a bit less, I think. Like 200.
God forbid you struggle to find ascension theory, because once you do, you're gonna be able to in all of them.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nice. I think in the late game, this build I think will work out pretty nicely, especially since my 2 neighbors love me. I couldn't believe how quickly these guys got to my choke points. They were there within like 10 years, I feel like. They just beelined right for me. But I know it's just better at making those decisions. It just feels like it came right after me. The last little thing that I really like is getting a little bit of influence from your fleet power. I think the bigger your fleet is, the more influence you generate. I could probably hop over to one of yours. You guys have like existing navies because you're actually fighting people.
No, I don't.
This guy's got 0.74. That's you, Beiju.
Yeah.
We go to Lev here. He's only got
Nope,
0.24, but still something apparently. And then Eben's probably got he's got less than you, Beiju. He's got probably a smaller fleet than you too. But it's a cool little change. Adding extra ways to get influence is nice. I mean, influence is less of is used less in other places, but it's still very useful for expanding and like building habitats and that kind of stuff. I have a feeling that habitats may get a change because that seems like an internal politics type of resource that's still managed by influence, which is supposed to be for external politics. But I think it makes sense. Like you still need to be able to use that resource in some places. Like I don't know, probably things like arcologies still need influence. I haven't played with
Yeah,
that one yet.
ecologies, megastructures, those are still gonna cost influence.
Right. It's a little harder to get a hold of, and it needs to be balanced just right. All right, so I think we're ready to kind of like move over to story time. I think Beju looked into some stuff like some funny meta builds that people have been playing with over the past week or so. What have you heard lately, Beju?
I have heard that the ones we are playing, or most of our players are playing in our today's game, that machine intelligence with rogue servitors is still pretty damn strong, since you have a few options actually. You could start with rogue servitors and the other civic, which is called maintenance protocols, and every of your maintenance drones also produces one unity, which I didn't pick, but it was probably a mistake, but it will definitely be my third civic. So since you're always using maintenance tools, I currently on my capital I have 11 maintenance drones in use. So I would get a lot of unity. If I had that done from start, I would have get a lot of unity. So that's still interesting. As a machine intelligence, you normally don't get so much unity. That's was an issue before 3.3, and it is now. The only thing which could help there is the maintenance protocols. But on the other hand, it's still pretty strong to colonize all planets. You can colonize all planets. Yeah, that's pretty nice. On the other hand, I've experienced myself that the hive world, the aquatic hive world, which was the top-notch build pre 3.3, which was planetary unification with aquatic people living on an ocean world, which was pretty damn strong. I played yesterday, and I've already spoken to Silas, and he said the same. It is not as strong as before. It's even weak now, since you do not have so many options in the beginning. It just takes everything. It's just taking time for everything. A good thing again is for the machine intelligence, as it's the same for the hive worlds, to change policies right in the beginning, to change it to manufacturing focus, so that your complex drones have more output. The reason why you can take this, especially from the beginning now, is your leaders do not cost energy upkeep anymore, and you do not need to buy leaders with energy anymore. That is a pretty nice thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, you can just immediately go to manufacturing focus and have plus 20% complex drone output. So that is a quite strong start, I would say.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, if there's anything else that you liked or disliked, feel free to share it. I think we'll move on to Ebend next, if you're ready.
I mean, I just have like this.
Oh, he cut out.
Weird. I've just been running a bit of. I happened to stumble upon this because was just like, I don't tune in much to the meta conversation, but I was going for an achievement, and I just realized, like, wait a minute, this is the first time I'm playing Rogue Servitors, and I just happened to be coming in onto a good thing at a good time.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. That's just how it goes sometimes. I mean, was there anything you noticed while playing today that you really dislike? Like, do you think the AI is too good, or like they're doing weird things with their fleets?
I don't have any problems with how they're moving the fleets. I think they're a tad bit aggressive, but also it's it's their policy. Like before, me and other players have been able to pacify the horses, without declaring supporting independence and those sort of steps. But that might be necessary now. It might be harder to get a warmonger off your butt
Oh yeah, I got
than
lucky.
before. Mm-hmm.
I spawned next to pacifists and a guy who automatically was like, "I'm gonna guarantee your independence now that I know that I can make money off of you." Cool.
Yeah, and if you spawn it where I was, you'd be fine because you're also spiritualist. But these are spiritualist people right next to a machine empire,
Or for me, even the
so it's extra
materialist.
hard.
The problem
So
is evangelizing Seer. Let's get a full minus 1000 to your liking, so there's no
Oof.
pacifying them.
Oof. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
yeah, well, so I got to pour a lot of my resources. Luckily, I have a lot of alloy income. I'm building up space stations, and I'm just going to be trying to run out as many destroyers as I can. But it's just an annoying resource sink for the time being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
It's cool, but also it's like it's cool that they're better, but it's also like simultaneously a pain to deal with.
I mean, it's a good thing because honestly, I was turning a really good profit on just all of my planets coming together and starting up. So this is actually making it difficult for me. Otherwise, I would have been able to play very tall and very well. Like
Mm-hmm.
I said, I got a bunch of tomb worlds ready to go. I have a Gaia planet to move some bio trophies to in the interim before I can restore ring worlds or get up habitats for them to live on. Really, the biggest disappointment is I didn't find any primitive civilizations because though what's really fun is what you do is you integrate them or you enlighten them. Which one is it? I believe it's the enlightened one where they become their own uh, country that's a vassal of yours.
Mm-hmm.
And then you integrate them. And then you have a planet full of bio trophies, and you prepare beforehand loads of paradises on other places, especially ring world habitats. Just toss them over there, immigrate them all.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get a planet, you get loads of unity, and they're having the good life.
I did just notice that you only have 19 bio trophies. I think you're doing it
Yep.
wrong.
Oh yeah.
But that's okay because you're in first place, so maybe you're not doing it wrong. Maybe you are doing
It's
it the new meta.
relics. Relics.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that you took the ring world start. It's a pretty good start, and
It is a really good start.
but it limits you a little bit in leaving the ring world.
But that's the great part because you're a robot. It doesn't matter. The bio trophies can't move off.
Yeah.
So that's why habitats is sort of like the clutch fix, depending on how long you got to wait for mega engineering, plus the
Mhm.
resources and time to get that going.
Yeah. So I think we could switch over to Lev now. Like, what's some of the things that you notice? What's some things that you like, dislike, and why did you choose what you chose?
So when I chose in the beginning, I was just unsure what to play. I didn't play around with the patch so far, just took something. I was hoping that the job would be better for Unity generation, so I went for the Byzantine bureaucracy, getting extra Unity from them, so they are even better job and a bit of stability, but that one doesn't matter too much, since they need a lot of building slots, so you can't really put it on jobs on planets where you want to produce other stuff, which the stability would help.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was the Gaia seeders, which isn't coming into play as of yet. I am starting to build them up on a few planets to get extra pop growth speed, but it's just too expensive in the very beginning to actually use. 20 energy upkeep per is harsh. The one thing I noticed again is the usual effect of playing a normal empire and just feeling like you're missing out on stuff, or you're being basically doing extra hoops without any gain. Like, I'm not going on trade value. I don't have the hive minds, the robot society things. So I have to use up all my building slots to get the consumer goods, to get the alloy production going from things, to get what's it called? To get the amenities properly fixed out while having low habitability planets, and there's just not too much I'm getting it. I will come into scaling later down the line once I get the EQ monopolized and get big buffs there, but for now I'm just feeling behind. I dedicated a full planet to Unity generation, so I'm somewhat keeping up there at 250-ish, I think.
Yeah.
But the price for that is I'm really struggling to find the space for alloys. I
Yeah.
should probably not have gone as hard into science as I did, but if you're comparing it to you, I'm still way behind there.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
yeah, adventures of a normal empire.
you normally pull ahead, so I think that this slow start is actually just gonna it'll
Yeah,
even the playing field a little bit. But I think you'll be able to do some interesting stuff relatively
yeah, and
soon. You
usually
always
I tend to pull ahead in the mid game to late game when I just keep everything neatly organized as I want it and just keep microing stuff all the time.
Yeah, that's the problem I have is I don't organize very well. I'm just like, I need research now, build research here. And it's like, that's not a good research plan. You're gonna regret that. I need to start making my luxury residences more. I think that would be pretty helpful.
Yeah, my current goal is to just save up minerals to get the first Monopoly going.
Yeah, that
That
makes
is gonna be
sense.
the point where my empire spikes. So often I'm going for Relic World as an origin because it just allows a super early AQ.
Hmm.
Yeah, true.
Did any of you guys get we're gonna move into my fun facts now, unless you guys have anything else you want to share. But I'm curious, did any of you guys see Arrested Development yet?
Yeah, it's
Um,
-2 max leader cap. I got it on one of my
yeah, true.
scientists. He
Hmm.
then got
Yeah.
voted into being my ruler.
Oh, nice. He's your
Well,
ruler.
there's something about politics to be said there.
All right, yeah, I want to see this so I can show it, but people were like, "Whoa, this is pretty different," and I like it. He's
Yeah.
your ruler. Yeah, I can't see it on the ruler now because he's
I think
been
he's
elected,
already
right?
voted out again. It's democracy.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Wouldn't Arrested Development continue?
Sorry, you cut out again. I don't know what's going on with your mic there. It's, I think, blocking out background noise and stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Let me move closer.
Yeah.
But like, wouldn't the Arrested Development like keep the experience? Actually, I don't even know what it does anymore.
So it used to give -1000% experience, so
Yeah.
you couldn't get any experience on the guy anymore, which was very annoying when you got it on your level 2 guys in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now it reduces the max level by 2, which, while also
Okay.
hurtful in the beginning because it kept them at 3,
I love
but
it
it's,
because there's so many sources of like extra later
yeah,
levels that just don't get used.
yeah,
Didn't
you
even get.
rarely get 10 level leaders.
Didn't they even change something that some leaders even start at level 2 or something? Wasn't there something, or am I
I
confused?
think that was later down the line with the leader enhancement policies. You got
Okay.
higher tier, higher level leaders out of the recruitment.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
make
that's
sense.
nice.
I'm looking forward to seeing what else I haven't seen in the game yet. I've just like,
Well,
noticed a few things here and there. That was something I
yeah,
saw on Reddit and I was like, wait, what? Ooh, nice.
yeah.
Good
If we're
change.
talking about leaders already, one other thing people need to remember. We talked earlier about how it is very prohibitive to cycle through your leader pool that's available,
Hmm.
but they actually addressed that already. The leader pool isn't staying there until the recruitable leader dies anymore. It's regularly shifting, so you gotta keep
Okay.
checking your pool for good stuff.
Nice.
It's changing every year, actually. And it was a suggestion by Comet Truck.
Oh, wonderful. That's cool to see
I
that.
mean, I'll be honest. I think that should have been something they thought of a long time ago, but
Yeah, it
it's being
was.
implemented.
Exactly. They got to it. It's good that they got to it instead of just like focusing
Mhm.
on other things
Yeah,
forever.
the leader level cap is still kind of meh, isn't it? I'm looking currently at the Philosopher King, which gives a ruler level cap +2, which is okay, but how long does it take
Yeah.
until the ruler gets level 7 or level 8? It takes probably, I don't know, I do not play, I do not.
I find that like getting as much like leader buffs as possible, you still have people who are like never getting past 6,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
never getting
problem.
past
The problem is,
scientists.
yeah, it's great to get extra levels, but the curve I think is exponential for the XP necessary. So
And you're buffing
stack,
it by linear amounts.
yeah, and stacking a ton of it on it to get 1 more level or 2 more levels,
Yeah.
it just doesn't pay off.
That's still a thing, Paradox, you should look at.
Yeah, if you wanted to do that kind of gameplay with leader play being viable, you'd need to have a constant XP cost for levels, have enough levels available that it actually matters initially and it's possible to focus on it.
Yeah.
But as it stands, the first levels are done nearly instantaneously, so level 3 almost anyone gets, even if you're doing anti-leader XP.
hmm
Then levels 4 and 5 come over time. 6 and 7, yeah, possibly. And anything beyond it is just, it will happen sometime. I won't
Going
even
back a
recognize it
little
happening.
bit, I gotta say these things are still super worth it if you have stuff like hive minds who don't die and have to reach the highest level possible as
Yeah,
soon as they can.
hive minds still die. They are biological people. You mean machine intelligence?
Not your ruler.
Yeah, the hive
The
Ruler
mind
doesn't die.
ruler itself is
Yeah, okay.
immortal, and
that
he's
makes
truly
sense.
immortal, he can't even break down.
That's pretty cool.
But it's still, it's just the effect you get for the increase from level 6 to 7 compared to how much you would invest into getting it earlier
Yeah.
is minuscule.
That makes sense. It would be nice if it was better. I kind of
And
wanted
if you
to
could instead just take another perk, that's gonna get you more.
ask you, Lev, about Consecrated Worlds. I'm sure the others will have opinion, but I think that your opinion on Consecrated Worlds will not have changed. I mean, it's a great way to boost your Unity production, but you have to wait a while before it becomes like viable, and usually you just want to land on your planets and get those planets producing things. I'm not really sure
Actually,
how
not
it
quite
viable it is
sure right
now.
now because given that it's actually Unity buff and Unity is very useful now,
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, one thing that was very prohibitive about it was the influence cost, but now you don't need influence for everything anymore, so you actually have influence base for it. The thing is, yeah, you are paying the opportunity cost of not having pops grow on those planets and not having those planets mineable.
Yeah. No, I think I might take it later on in this one. So far,
Yeah,
I've
for Void
taken
Dwellers, I actually think it might be viable.
because you don't need the planets. You don't really want all
Yeah,
the
you
planets.
don't need the planet as badly. You have a lot of Unity focus on your build, so it's actually scaling well.
Right. I'm gonna probably want to take the psionic thing next. So I took Voidborn, Technological Ascendancy, and
Yeah.
One Vision, and then I'm gonna want to fill my next two with those. The nice thing is it won't take me too long to fill these slots up because of how much Unity I'm making. But waiting to here to even try to consecrate things, waiting till like slot 6 or 7 to start doing that seems a bit late. I don't know. It could be.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna think about it and see how it goes later on in this MP. Next thing I wanted to talk about is we got a new Civic, which is pretty funny. Have you guys seen the permanent employment stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about doing that, but I only recently played a Trade Empire, so decided to go against it. But it could be pretty fun,
Yeah, it was one of the
especially.
things where I was like, maybe it'd be cool if we could get one of you to play it, but I didn't want to make you guys play something you didn't want to play.
Yeah.
Well, you just had to ask us.
Yeah, well, I'm sure other people have a lot of thoughts on this. It seems nice being able to build your organics. I think that it would have been a nice option for me, seeing as I hate machines. I think playing that with spiritualists could make you a little bit more competitive and viable against the machine empires out there.
Yeah, that was my thought to it as well. The most powerful part of it is it's one of the very few ways to actually get yourself a biological assembly. The downside, of course, is the zombie pops aren't good.
Yeah.
That's very true.
And in the late game, when the growth is getting hindered by the number of pops you already have, it's kind of hurting to have bad pops.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
robots are pretty strong pops, actually, especially late game.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's more of like a flavor option or an RP option, and it's nice to see that they're giving, the people who don't want to play competitively more things to play around with. That and like the feudal society civic that we talked about, as well as a couple other things that I've missed, but I forgot about. I saw at one point and then I forgot about. Really makes it so that single player experience is a lot more fun, and then if you got a good multiplayer group like we have here, you can do some RP. You can role play a little bit. One point, Beishu, you said that maybe you could completely ignore Unity. I think that was pretty early on it when the beta version of the of the
Mhm.
um of the update came out. Do you still feel that way, or like, what are your thoughts on just ignoring Unity?
Yeah, I cannot say that much about it actually. I even forgot what the downside is of having not enough tea. You get a malus, but I do not know which it is actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, some people said it is just go, don't use Unity. Just no, use Unity. Well, no, it wouldn't work
Yeah, because you
since
need your perks eventually, right?
yeah, that, and if you enact an edict, it will immediately get cancelled
Oh
because you do
yeah,
not have enough Unity. I think that was just a bug or something in one of the pre 3.3 beta patches.
that does bring me
So,
to the freaking edicts turning themselves off, which was
oh yeah,
very, very
that's
annoying and
valid.
upsetting. I'm sure that's going to get fixed very fast, but
Hopefully.
if you haven't noticed yet, every month or so, it may just decide to turn off your edicts, and I think that's because somebody was saying it might have to do with overflow. I think that's when I'm probably not the best one to talk about overflow. Lev, you know a little bit about overflow. How do you think
Yeah,
it might work?
my idea is that every time the cost of your edicts changes, so every time your Empire Sprawl gets to the next stage, where instead of 48 it now costs 49 Unity upkeep, the game recalculates it, and for some reason during that, it turns off the edict.
Yeah, that's
That's
very
my
annoying.
personal guess.
I know they're gonna fix it because of how frustrating it is. I just have no idea how it wasn't addressed. This must have been happening in the beta, right, Beishu? Or did you miss that?
I missed that, yeah.
It could have been happening and you wouldn't have noticed. I know somebody talked a little bit about Unruly. I saw something on YouTube about it being like maybe a good option that increases your empire size from pops, and since it doesn't have an effect until you get to 100 pops, I think it might be better than it used to be. Any thoughts from you guys?
Unruly is still a have to pick, I would say. Yeah.
Seems pretty good from what I'm seeing here. Just increases the empire size from pops by 10%. That's not that much. Like ultimately,
No,
it's gonna take you a
it's
while to
nothing.
get your empire size, and then after you get there, then like it's like, well, you're
You can
big.
just engineer it away.
Yeah, you'll just end up getting more research elsewhere because you got enough pops and enough
Yeah.
unit generation from elsewhere because you've got the pops.
So I'm currently having 278 pops, and yeah, and no, okay. Since I'm a machine empire, it doesn't even count on me, but I have just something I just noticed. My biopops do not count to my, or doesn't really count to my pops. At least the unruly doesn't apply to my pop count, which is
I
quite
think that's
interesting.
what they were talking about, that basically you need to have enough of that pop for the 10% to actually get our full numbers for it to actually apply.
But I
Ah,
have more than 10, so
Oh, okay, then it should apply.
Yeah.
That's weird.
that's
but it doesn't.
interesting.
Well,
Well,
anyway.
you can take advantage of that if you want to for the near future. I think that'll get addressed. Next thing on my list was monuments now give unity per, I think, ascension perk that you've taken, which is pretty cool. They don't require jobs, and I love that change because it's just more unity, more ways to get unity, and maybe a resource from a planet that has got plenty of jobs, but still has free building slots. I'm sure, if you wanted to go for a building that makes Unity, it's still a better option to do that than to take the like auto Chimpton monument. But it's pretty cool. I like that change quite a bit. It also boosts your Unity generated from other places, so I think that is a fun change. Other things are pretty minor, like Silas said, always take alloys first. That was something like I know I knew, but like it's a good tip to share with newer players. If you take somebody's research planet, like they're just gonna come back and take that with the alloys like in 10 years. So you want to take their alloy planets and other stuff later. And that might be it. I think that's everything I wanted to say. Awesome. I had a lot of fun recording this with you guys, and looking forward to seeing what people have to say in the comments.
And don't forget to subscribe and to like
Yeah,
this
totally.
video.
Thank you. I appreciate the plug. It's hard to do. It's hard for me to do. But yeah, we'll see you around.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.